As a fan of anime, I'm always on the lookout for cool figures and goods. But when I was living in the States, they were always crazy overpriced at conventions and things like that. So when I first moved to Japan, I was excited, but Tokyo was also overpriced. That's why I was happy to find this place a short train ride away from my city. It's wonderful! This place has a whole bunch of cool things that are related to pretty much every famous and not so famous anime. There's a lot of pin badges, goods, and figures, things that you can't really find in other places, and they're all for a fairly decent price. This is the overflow section where they just have so many of something that they start discounting at 30 to 50% off. As you can see, there's a ton of Kimetsu stuff, a little bit of Dragon Ball, and a lot of Spy Family. Also Chainsaw Man. A lot of the more popular things end up over here. Not that they're not popular anymore, it's just that they are in stock, let's say. There's a lot of video games as well, including this Neo Geo Mini that I was unaware of, a PC Engine Mini, and of course the ones that I knew, the family computer stuff, the Nintendo stuff, and that awesome Astro City that I ended up getting a long time ago. That retro station I've never heard of though, something by Capcom, that is so cool. This section was Spy Family and then turned to Chainsaw Man. I think it's whatever's kind of popular at the time because it's right up in front. It's, I don't know what Blue Archive is, but apparently it's popular enough to be in the big section. And then right behind that, you're going to find more Overflow. These are the ones that they have a lot of, but are not necessarily discounted yet. So, you know, there's a lot of the big series. I was looking at that Sailor Pluto, but it's still crazy overpriced. There are a lot of One Piece, of course, Dragon Ball, Kimetsu, that sort of thing. And even a little bit of the Kamen Rider. Whenever the new season starts, the old stuff starts getting a little bit more discounted. So Evangelion still has quite the presence. Although the figures, especially, are becoming more and more expensive as time goes by. Mostly because there's not going to be any more media for this. I don't think there's ever going to be another movie or anything of the sort, so get it while you can, I guess. Boku no Hero Academia is everywhere, spread out over the store. There's a tiny little area for Oshinoko. And then Kamen Rider. So if you ever wanted one of the belts, man, they've got them all. That's all Ultraman and Kamen Rider as well. And then a little bit more Evangelion. And I know I have a friend in the States that's crazy into this. There are a lot of Zoids as well. Uma Musume is crazy popular. Season 3 just started and you'll see it at every convenience store. Pretty much every gum or anything has that marking on it. Gotobun Hanayome, still popular. Even though I don't know if it's completely over. I know the manga is. I don't know if the anime has another season left or not, but that is everywhere. These are the figures that are really expensive but without a box. And those are cursed. I don't like that. It's got an Annabelle feeling to it. I'm not into that. And then some of the more hard to find things, you know, like an old Sailor Moon and some of the more intricate figures. But this is kind of the expensive section. I will say, though, did a really good job on that kimono. That is beautiful. I don't think it's $800 beautiful, but you know, hey. And of course, you know, thick thighs save lives, right? Uma Musume, again, crazy popular. You'll see a lot of figures spread out. ReZero is still around. Sword Art Online is still around. Sword Art never really went away. I know a lot of people overseas don't like it, but the light novels are so popular in Japan that it's not necessarily something people look down on. But Love Live has never gone away. I guess because there's always a new season, but that section is crazy. A little bit of Princess Connect, yay. But again, Love Live, everywhere. And then finally, into some of the more obscure things. I like how I just saw Maromagi and called it obscure, but you know, hey. Steins Gate, if you haven't seen that, watch it, it's cool. Slime. A lot of figures for that. That must be getting a new season, because they're kind of pushing it. And then, of course, you know, the cute girl section. And the noodle toppers. Those are cool. Like the figures you sit on top of instant noodles. So if you're going to eat instant noodles, you can keep the lid down with a cute girl, I guess. It's a neat idea, to be honest. Hatsune Miku, yes, everywhere. Project Sekai got really big here. And then, of course, my favorite, Yudu Camp. There was a ton of Sailor Moon. Now, the quality on those aren't too great. The Q was it Posket? Yeah, Q Poskets are cute. But the big figures kind of all had the same face. I was excited at first, but then, ReZero, of course. Demdom everywhere. In every pose possible, in every outfit possible. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, people love her. She is outlandishly popular, so she's got quite a bit of space on the shelves. As with Gotobun, there's a lot of that. It's interesting, though. You can kind of tell who the most famous ones are. I love Yotsuba, but it's probably Miku. And then a ton of dramas on DVD. Old Japanese movies and dramas and whatnot. If you haven't seen High and Low, 100% watch it. It's just a bunch of Yankees punching each other. It's cool. If you like martial arts, it's definitely a good martial arts movie from Japan, and that's rare. Concert DVDs, things along those lines. If you're into that, they've got a lot. And The Legend, music you don't know. A lot of anime on Blu-ray and DVD. I don't really do physical media as much as I used to, but every once in a while I find something cool. And amongst this, maybe a year and a half ago or something, when I first found this place, they had the Project Echo movie, and I wanted that. If I had $168, whew, I mean, yeah, that's cool too, but you know, come on. Dragon Ball Z Dragon Box. And if you're into VTubers, they have a ton of this stuff. Sakamata-chan. I was happy to see that. But yeah, there's a ton of little goods for this, which I never see in the wild, to be honest. I don't know if these are all the Ichiban Kuji, where you walk into a convenience store and they have a lottery and you get something, but that's probably where they come from. But wow, there's a ton. There's also a ton of manga. If you're really into manga and you can read Japanese, excuse my hand in the frame there, you can get like X for $15. It's so good. I have to admit, I have bought a couple things, like full sets from this place, because they get as low as 500 yen, which is around $5. I mean, not right now because the exchange rate's crazy, but you know, some of these are in great condition for not too much. Like Pat Labor, that's so cool. If you haven't seen that anime, watch it because it's super good. Classic. And then we hit the Boku no Hero Academia section. There are figures for days on this one. This is one of the biggest anime right now. Manga is well loved and the anime is, of course, well loved. Pretty much every character, even side characters, have figures. And they're pretty detailed, actually. It's cool. Oh, sweet. If you're into this, they're fairly cheap. And then there's Jujutsu Kaisen, which, again, people really, really do like. I have to admit, I haven't watched this. I watched the movie, which apparently was the first story. I found it interesting. I just didn't continue. I think I will once it's over. And then, bam, the Dragon Ball section. And this is not a small area. This is where a lot of the expensive stuff is. A lot of these are the, again, the Ichiban Kuji, the lottery from the convenience stores, where you pay like 800 yen and you get a chance. And sometimes you get something terrible, like a little towel, but sometimes you get these incredibly cool figures. I'm a sucker for the side characters, and I guess everyone else is. That's why Dororia is so expensive. But some of these are really old and in great condition. This is from the newer movies and Super. So they're not as overpriced. Some of the cuter stuff. I love the Kuririn Gohan with the Saiyajin armor. So cool. But yeah, these are really neat. And even some of the game-only characters get some really expensive-looking figures. And the little box figures, a lot of these you can find in convenience stores and things like that, but they're expensive no matter what. And these are also, again, some of the Crane games. Continuing the Dragon Ball section. There's so much of this, and I'm not complaining because I want it all, especially that cool Trunks. I wanted that forever. And then Super version of Trunks. He's not cool, but, you know, he's there. I really don't like what they did with him. He was my favorite character. And then Spy Family still has a huge fan base here, so I don't know, maybe overseas as well. But Anya. On the other side is some Oshinoko and Chainsaw Man. And a lot of Kimetsu. A lot of Kimetsu. I know a lot of people still have these figures, and it's still fairly well selling manga, so I don't think it's quite over yet. Kenshin and Yu Hakusho. Gotta love that. That's some of my generation stuff. Dr. Stone, underrated. And JoJo up there in the corner. A lot of Naruto. There's a ton of this stuff coming out right now, which is pretty cool. And I do have to admit, there are a couple of these that I want pretty bad. Mostly that Sasuke is so cool. And then there is the Bleach section, which is that small shelf. That's not popular here. I know it's huge overseas, but it does not have a following at all in Japan, really. Gintama. That was huge when it was still being made. Golden Kamui, also something I would recommend. Super good. But back to Kimetsu. And some of the lesser known stuff, by Western standards, wildly well known in Japan. Shin-Chan and, of course, Urusei Yatsura. And even some Tiger Bunny. Remember Tiger Bunny? Lupin. Lupin is always on TV here. I love it. Blue Rock. Very, very cool if you're into soccer stuff. Sports anime is always wildly popular here, as is Conan. Conan always is popular. Every year there's a movie. And Shingeki Kyojin. Tokyo Revengers. That had a huge boom. I don't think it's as popular now, especially because it's over, but I think that's why it's in the kind of tiny section over here. And of course, the behemoth that is One Piece. One Piece has a giant section. I think One Piece and Dragon Ball, those are the big two that will never be taken down, it feels. But they have a lot of that cool stuff. Love that. Know my next hairstyle. But yeah, if you look around, I mean, there's just a ton of stuff for One Piece. Of course, Uta. That movie is wildly popular still. It came back to theaters and it's still doing really, really well. These figures are actually well made. They're a little bit pricey. And then this is a lot of the Ichiban Kuji, the lottery stuff. But, you know, if you like law, haha. This is where a lot of the pin badges and lesser known stuff is. It's pretty cool if you were looking for something kind of obscure. You know, and I'm not calling Macross Frontier obscure, I'm just calling it a little bit old. Really good though. If you haven't seen Macross Frontier, I also recommend that. Nyanko Daisenso. And some of the blankets from, I think that's Love Live. Lucky Star. Love that. So much, again, Conan. This just never ever goes out of style. Although it makes his hometown look pretty dangerous. There's murders all the time there. And then the kind of weird stuff that you can find in gachas in Japan. I've shown some of that in some other videos, but you know, like a lion just kind of hanging out. This is the stuff that they can't sell and it's discounted to like $1, you know? And then Miku. A lot of the people I know are playing the app game now. Hatsune Miku. There's sections for pretty much everything, like Gochusa. That was crazy, crazy popular for a long time. And then we've got Nichijou. Nichijou is a great manga. The anime was phenomenal, but it wasn't popular enough. That's a sad one too, because the animation was so good. But yeah, check out the manga. If it's in English, it's awesome. I never know what is localized. This is also very, very, very popular. It's one of those things, that and ReZero, you know, I mean, it's just, it kind of is always on the side. It never goes away. And ReZero, they just really know how to market cute girl stuff. Sword Art Online. Again, forgive the finger. Really trying to keep my hand out of the shot. There's a new movie for that one too, Girls in Panzer. That comes out pretty soon. And Madoka. Love Madoka. Looking forward to the next movie. And then this is the Ichiban Kuji stuff. Like, this is the lottery stuff. So if you pay, you get a chance at winning some of that. I do want that Kuromi Donut Maker. And Pokemans! Of course, there's always a Pokemon section. And just so I can give you some nightmares, think about this before you go to sleep tonight. And when you're walking out, one of the only places in all of Japan you can get some sriracha. But it is $7.